Merits for obtaining permanent residency. What kind of merits are there for obtaining permanent residence? I would like to explain the merits of obtaining permanent residence. First is the first merit. There is no time limit on residence. Ordinarily, the time limit for a working visa is 1 year or 3 years, but if you obtain a permanent residence visa, there will be no time limit on residence. The fact that there is no time limit means that you can live in Japan forever. In addition, procedures for renewal will be unnecessary from now on. Although up to now, it was necessary to go to the Immigration Bureau once every year or once every 3 years in order to conduct renewal procedures. After obtaining permission for permanent residence, procedures for renewal will be unnecessary. The second merit. There are no restrictions on the type of work. For example, with a working visa, the content of work such as engineer or specialist in humanities/international services is determined, and you are not allowed to work outside the scope of what is determined by your visa. But if you obtain a permanent residence visa, it will be okay to do any kind of work. The third merit. It will become simple to start a company. In the event that an ordinary foreigner will start a business in Japan and be the company president, it is necessary to obtain an investor/business manager visa. There are various conditions for an investor/business manager visa, such as capital of 5 million yen, and the hurdle is high, but it will become unnecessary to obtain an investor/business manager visa. This means that you can create a company even with only 1 yen, the same as a Japanese person. The conclusion is that it will be easy to start a company. The fourth merit. It will become easier to obtain loans from the bank. I think there are many people who want to buy a home if they are going to live in Japan forever. In actuality, the screening for a loan for a foreigner with a working visa is strict, but it will be easier to pass the screening for a loan by a bank if you have a permanent residence visa. The fifth merit. Your spouse or child can also change to a spouse or child of permanent resident or long-term resident visa that does not have restrictions on activities. If you obtain permanent residence, it will also be advantageous for your spouse or child. The sixth merit. Even if you get divorced, you can live in Japan forever. For example, a person who has a visa for a spouse of a Japanese national will become unable to renew the visa if he or she gets divorced. Therefore, he or she will have to change to a working visa or a long-term resident visa. However, if you obtain permanent residence in advance, it will not be necessary to renew it, and therefore you can have peace of mind. What do you think of the merits of permanent residence? There are many merits, aren't there? If you plan to live in Japan forever, it is definitely advantageous to obtain permanent residence.